So it's getting late in the day. I just found a big problem. And I'm just sitting here trying to get motivated to fix this problem because this is a big problem and I can't. I mean, this project is completely at a standstill until I fix this. I'm so disappointed and frustrated, pretty upset. The problem is that the building seems to have settled when I rebuilt those piers. So I have to rip off all of the skirting that I put on, all the fencing. I have to rip off the trim, and I got to get in there and lift the building up. I know how to fix it. It's going to be time consuming, but we're going to have to jack this building up. If I can fix it before the end of the day, put me back on track. All right, well, let me show you what's going on. And once I show it to you, you guys are going to see. You'll see it pretty quick. Okay, so I am standing in the middle of the building, about the middle of the building. The poles, this is dead level. Dead level. And if you look at the cabin, this side seems to be lower than this side. The distance from here to here is greater than the distance from here to here. So then I went and I leveled the building. And the building, sure as shit, has sunk. The fix is, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this panel, all of this trim off here on this whole section. And then I got to pull the back piece off. And then I got to get all of that fencing out of there, all of this fencing out, and then we're going to jack this building up. Because of how late it is in the day and that this is going to be quite a job, I'm not going to record it. I showed a video on when I leveled this building already. So as far as the gist of it, it's in that video. I got to get this done. Just kidding. I am going to show you the building lifting because let's face it, lifting buildings is pretty freaking cool. All right, so it's day 2 of trying to fix this stupid building and get it leveled. God, it's so aggravating what happened. But yesterday we did manage to get the one side up, I think about 4 inches. I still need to go up, I think about 1.5 inches or 2 inches. But before I do that, I want to get the other side lifted, just because it's a little crooked right now. But before I start working on lifting it, I'm going to go ahead and paint this, because once I'm done with getting the building lifted up and leveled out, then we're going to go ahead and start installing the rafters. I think I figured out why the building was so unlevel after we spent 1.5 days leveling it. The footers on this cabin, some of these I had to rebuild. I had to take them down and put, level off the gravel and then put blocks on top of it. Well, I think what happened was while we were cleaning it and doing the work on the building, I think the building sank. Not only that, but when I leveled it, I even commented this in the video. I could have probably gone up a little higher, but I was pretty satisfied with where the building was at level-wise. What I didn't realize was that when I went to span the back wall of this lean-to from front to back, that it was going to really exasperate. Anyways, it was going to make the problem very visible because it was going the entire length of the cabin. So that said, you know, again, we've rebuilt all of these piers down here. Didn't rebuild them, we just lifted it up. So we're going to go ahead and paint this, and then I'm going to jump on the other side and lift up the other side, get all of that leveled. Hopefully I can get all this leveling done this morning so that this afternoon we can get to putting some rafters on. Somebody had made a comment on one of my older videos a couple of years ago that has always really stuck with me. They asked me if I feel stupid or embarrassed when I make mistakes, especially mistakes like that could be easily, or could have easily been resolved. And it got me thinking about this whole life and this whole journey Jen and I have been on. The amount of mistakes we've made, the amount of bad decisions we've made, the amount of things we could have done differently, should have done differently. There's so many. But honestly, what makes me feel embarrassed or stupid is actually not making the mistakes and thinking that I know everything. That, I think, is the real danger in that, because making mistakes is like learning. It's a learning process, you know. It reminds me of a story when I was working in manufacturing and I was being mentored by a guy who he was teaching me about lean manufacturing. And it was a story about an IBM executive who had made a really bad deal, and it cost the company several $1 million in damages. At the board meeting to review the issue, the board asked the CEO if they fired the executive. And the CEO looked at him and said, well, no. Why would I fire him? I just spent $2 million to train him. I think the moral of that is that mistakes like the ones that we make, like even on this, you know, I should have known that the building wasn't perfectly level, and I should have known that when I leveled it, I really needed it leveled perfectly so that when I put the roof on, it would be, you know, it would work. But you know, they're learning experiences. They're experiences that I need to go through so I can grow in this lifestyle. Okay, so it is late afternoon now. And no, I didn't spend the entire day painting this. What we did is we went ahead and finished lifting the building. We actually lifted it another 5 or 6 inches. It's actually pretty unbelievable how much it had settled and how much it needed to go up. So got that done, and now we're going to come back here and the same exercise as before. You can see the distance from that to the top plate here, and the distance on this side is about the same, and that is what we were looking for. The other thing we did is we did bring in some gravel to lift this area up a little bit because it was pretty low during the springtime. When we get the thaw, this whole area here would flood, so I wanted to get some gravel in here, lift this up. We're going to do the same here, but I'm going to do that later after we get the grows in there. We're not on schedule. We're definitely behind the 8 ball, but the next step is to put the rafters up. Now, when it comes to cutting rafters, the way I do it is pretty simple. Now, I'm sure there is a much better, more sophisticated way of doing this, But ultimately all I do is what will become my template rafter up to the fascia board, and I use another cutoff 2x4 to give me my angle. Once I've gotten my angle, I'll go ahead and cut it, and then I'll put it back into place to make sure it fits well. From there, I'll put it on a few other spots throughout the length of the coop, just to make sure that that is indeed a good template. I'll cut every rafter based off of my template. Now normally on my rafters, I will have the fascia board side cut at its angle. I would take the same angle and I would cut it on the back of the 2x4, on the back of the rafter on the other end. Just opposite, so that the front and the back are both plumb and it would really look nice. But on this build, I'm not doing that. And the reason I'm not doing that is because I don't care what the end of these rafters look like, because the roof that I got is 3 feet longer than these rafters. We like the idea of having the overhang because we do plan on doing something out here during the summertime next year, and having that overhang is going to work out great for us. So once we get these rafters up here, I'll show you what we're going to do to accommodate that 3 foot hangover, if you will, of the roof to the rafters. So it's about 6:15 this morning, and my plan today is to get as much of this roof done as I possibly can. It's gonna be a really long day. It's a little chilly this morning. I'm out here in a t-shirt though. Ooh, pardon me. I've only been up for like 45 minutes. Had some coffee, played with the dogs a little bit, so I'm ready. I had my cup of yogurt for breakfast. When Jen gets up a little later, she'll make us some eggs, but yeah. All right, let's get this roof on. All right, so we have all the rafters up, and kind of gives us an idea of what it's going to look like, which is kind of awesome, I think. You know, this is an old building, and I don't know if it's like a best practice. I doubt it, but you know, the next step here is I'm going to put a small block here and then attach a rafter to that small block, which is then attached to the to that joist there. So anyways, it's one of those things where I know it works because I do it on all of my roofs, but I just don't know if like that's the way to do it. I know there's hangers you can buy for this, but I don't have them, and we're not gonna go buy them. So the next best thing is to use those blocks. So, all right, so we've got the supports on each of the rafters. And the supports I'm talking about are right there, those little pieces of wood there. So each of those rafters is attached to it. Now I got to start working down here. The rafters are different lengths. I've got a couple of 10-footers in here. The majority of them are 8-footers. However, the tin that we got is 11 feet. So the tin is going to come out to here. So how are we going to fix that? Well, some backwoods Probably not the smartest way, but we're going to go ahead and throw sisters on each one of these rafters and extend the rafters out. All right, so the way that this is going to work is I need 41 inches from the post to the end of the rafter. So basically, I'm going to take this measurement from the back of the rafter to 41 inches. So in this case, I need to extend this out by 7 inches. But I want to make sure that I have enough sister that doesn't fall off. So what I'm going to do is, I know I need 7 inches here. So I'm going to probably find something that's like 20 inches so I can marry it up to this rafter, and it'll just be very seamless, almost as one rafter. So at least that's the idea. We'll give it a shot. Now keep in mind, this is just a chicken coop, so I'm not really too worried about the aesthetics of it. I just want to make sure that we have the length. There we go. First one's done. 14 more to go. So now that we have all of our rafters extended, the next step is going to be installing our fence posts. See, this isn't going to be the back of the run. The run's actually going to end, I don't know, somewhere in here. But we're going to put some fence posts in the ground and then run the fencing along that. I got to get the fence posts in the ground first, because if I put a roof on, I won't be able to put the posts here because I won't be able to go up. So while I'm doing that, Jen's over here. She's painting all of our strapping, because we're going to have to get the strapping up next after I get the post in the ground. We are making a hell of a lot of progress today. It is not even lunchtime. We already got the rafters up, the extenders on. Jen's over here painting. I'm about ready to get the fence posts in. And yeah, we're just chugging along. Boy, these winds are brutal. I'm kind of glad I got the rafters up this morning, because yeah, this sucks. Anyways, now that we've got the fence posts in all the way down the line, and we got Jen painting our strapping, the next step is I'm going to attach the back of the rafters to this top plate. So with the rafters all secured, the next step is to put strapping up. And Jen's over here still painting away. We've got, I think, 3 or 4 rungs that I can get going. So today has been a hell of a day. Hell of a day. All right, so I've got this whole side here done. I want to get a panel up here. I want to see what this roof is going to look like. I'm not going to be able to do it all today. Definitely going to be a tomorrow project, but curiosity and just my need for wanting to see it has overtaken me. So I'm going to go grab some panels and we're going to get some sheeting up here. We're going to start with 2 pieces of polycarbonate, and then we'll move over to white tin. Damn, that looks